I was dancing.
Well, you could have continued.
That would be strange if I just jumped on dancing.
You were just excited
Yeah, I am
to get it
excited.
going.
So excited to be back here
Welcome back.
on Danberry.
Drinks
So,
on Danberry.
long day at work. It's just Coke.
That's what we do. What we do. Welcome back. Jasenia, my husband, Jose. Love to.
Okay.
How's it going?
Eat
Well,
your
besides your
Jelly
long day
Bean.
of work.
I'm alright now. I'm home. I'm chilling.
To unwind.
That tu sabe.
Oh, Lord. I'm glad I gotta fight.
Sorry, after the weekend, there's still a little different.
Yeah. It's rolling out little by little.
Little by little, it still comes out.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
So what's on today?
It's been a little over 2 weeks. I think the first was the last time. Yeah, that's the first. 15 days, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We gotta get better at this.
Yeah.
I would say a weekday.
Yeah, we do a weekday.
Because I just get home and just like change and camera start
This
rolling.
is probably the most comfy we've been. Well, at least not me, because I'm in a hoodie or sweater.
Yeah, I always wear a t-shirt. I try not to wear the same t-shirt twice so they don't think that I have only one shirt.
You don't? You have more than one?
I have two.
Well, maybe a few after, we've done a few episodes, so you have a few.
Right. I'm running out of colors. I was going to wear a pink one, but I would have had to iron it. And I wouldn't iron it.
It's too much work after work.
Absolutely not. No way.
So, we'll jump into it. We were going to discuss... You just like do a shit me.
Yeah, you're going to jump into it.
Oh, okay. I was like...
Getting ready.
We were going to get into it. And I was seeing if we were going to do it again.
Oh, no. I was checking on our neighbors.
Oh, I brought their bins in today. And talk about our personal credit and our history and our journey, because it wasn't always great, good.
Sunshine.
Yeah.
Rainbows.
Ponies.
Butterflies and bunnies.
The ponies, but bunnies
That's
as well.
Throwing bunnies in there.
So do you want to share yours? You have... Mine used to be a little bit of a roller coaster.
How long we got?
Where do you want to start? Here, go with your beard on the mic.
We'll start in college.
Okay.
I think my first ever credit was student loans. And
did you get approved for them by yourself?
No,
or
not by myself.
Oh, okay.
I had a co-signer. At first, we tried with my mother.
Yeah.
She didn't make enough.
Okay.
So mom got like an uncle or a cousin or something. I don't even remember the relationship.
The relative or whoever. That was nice, Mom.
It was. And the agreement was apply for credit, co-signer. Obviously, as a co-signer, it's on his credit too. And as soon as I could, refinance the student loans by myself to get them off his credit. He swore up and down he wasn't going to need it for the next 4 years. And everybody says that they're lying, right? But again, like I'm 18, I didn't really know. I'm 17, I didn't know much.
Yeah.
So we got the student loans. Don't know what that means, but at the same time, like you don't know, you're not thinking the consequences.
Yeah, the in depth of what it really is and how it works.
You're just like, what? I got approved for 20, and I only need 16.
Yeah.
I get the 4.
Yeah.
Right, and then you can do whatever.
I mean, I was balling with that.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I didn't spend it on shoes, watches,
sneakers.
Like I wouldn't be able to tell you where this money went. And before the money hits, you're like,
how fast did it go?
Like a weekend, maybe, right? And as soon as the money comes in, like before the money comes in, you're just like, oh, I'm so gonna pay the excess off because if you talk to an advisor or somebody, like they'll tell you like, hey, you're not gonna have to pay that now. You're gonna pay that in the future, and you're just like, oh, I'm not worried about 4 years from now.
Yeah,
right? And that's not important.
In real life, it too.
Right, and the other thing is like you're so naive. You're like, oh, I'm gonna be making so much money that I'm just gonna pay all this right off. Right? Yeah. Those are all like optimistic approaches, but that's usually not how it works. So all right, so college every year, did an application for a student loan. always got approved. So you start racking up student loans. My first credit card ever, I think I was either a sophomore or junior in college.
Did you get like a college card?
Yeah, so I
Okay.
had relationships with the bank since I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
By that point, 2021, like direct deposit, and you build somewhat of a relationship. And like some banks have like college cards.
Yep.
So every time I remember religiously, like every time I would go home for the weekend, I would cash my check because I would work on the weekends.
Mm.
I was always cashing the check from the week before, and for like 3 months every week, the teller would tell me, "Hey, you have an offer in the system for a credit card. Hey, you have an offer
Mm.
in the system for a credit." And I was just like, like no, like I don't want it. I don't need it. Like I was scared. I
What
was
was your? I was like, what
petrified
was your
of
thought process about credit at that time? Do you remember?
don't spend it if you don't have the money.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's all I
Fair.
knew.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's all I knew. Um, and then one weekend, I was just like, "F it, whatever."
I said, let
So
me get more money.
I sat with a banker. I remember this vividly. My mother took me to the bank. The teller told me, and I was like, "Yeah, I got time today." So I sat with a banker. College credit card got approved for $700.
Mm-hmm.
That was my
First.
first ever credit card.
Yeah.
And I remember going back to the car and telling my mother I got approved for a credit card. And she swore the sky was falling. Right?
Wait, did she not know going into it that that's what you were going to do, or
That's
she
not
just
what
was
I was
taking
going
this
to
to the
do.
bank?
She just took me to cash my check.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I told her, and she swore the sky was falling. No, I'll be responsible, whatever the case may be. Boom, this card comes in, right?
700.
I'll never forget this. My brother was with me. $700 limit.
No,
At the time,
I
the
don't even
Foot
want to
Locker
know.
in the mall was getting renovated.
Mm-hmm.
So they moved it to a smaller location. And my first transaction on that card was $323 at Foot Locker on a $700 credit card. And it had
Crazy.
like some promotion, like 6 months no interest or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
So I was like, all right, like I'll pay this off in the six
You're like,
months.
so easy.
And
I
it
get paid
doesn't
every week
it
anyways.
doesn't happen. Right? You don't pay it off.
No.
I didn't in no way, shape, or form. I'm gonna be honest with you. I still have that card, right? Because from there it got converted and
True, I still have
converted
my
and
first credit
converted.
card. I just don't use it.
I still have that card. I would be lying if for the majority of college, this card wasn't maxed out, and I was just like paying it down.
Oh, my
But
heart.
right, so
That is like a real young.
that might be the one thing that actually kept my credit going.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it weren't for that card, then I wouldn't have had anything for like 4 years. There was maybe some like store brand credit cards. Like I think I had a K Jewelers card at one point. And then I never used it, and that got closed out.
Yeah.
So like, you go use it one day, and you're like, I wonder if this thing still works, and you like call, and it's like your card was closing way back when. So after college, right, of minimal credit activity throughout college.
Yeah.
After
besides the credit card.
Besides
and
that one little credit card. Yeah. So the student loans get deferred till after you graduate.
Right. Yeah. So you were doing the applications though.
Yeah. So once you graduate, you start getting emails. Hey, like your first payment is on this day, whatever the case may be, and it's 6 months out from your graduation. Mm-hmm. That's all true. Like that's not like urban myth. But my thing is like, I didn't want to pay it, not because I didn't know any better, but because it's just like, nah, I got better things to do with my money. I gotta blow this. You know, I gotta ball out. I gotta splurge. So the
education you just got, forget about that.
It's done. It wasn't even worth these student loans. I'm gonna be honest with you. Anyway, but
horrible. This is true insight though to how
most people think.
Yeah, how most people think.
Right. So to me, it's just like, nah, like $200 payment on a monthly basis. Get out of here. No, I'm not doing that. So I started working at the bank right after college. About 2 years later, mind you, my loans were in default for like however long.
Yeah.
Right. So it got so bad that once I started working at the bank, you know, these student loans, collection, default, the works, they actually started garnishing my wages at the bank.
No.
I swear. So it was to the point where like,
would have had a heart attack.
And again, let me take it back to the beginning. So I was so scared to have this conversation with the lender or with whoever was servicing these student loans, that like I was thinking out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't check my
yeah.
credit. I don't care. It's not important. Like I
It
swore up
doesn't
and
exist.
down
I don't see it. It
the
doesn't exist.
the only way I was ever gonna buy a car was cash. Right? Like I was that person. There was just like I'm just gonna buy everything I ever need to do in cash. I don't have to worry about credit, whatever. When I start working at the bank and they start garnishing my wages,
you're like, oh, this is real life.
well, this is how petrified I was. Even after they started garnishing my wages, I felt relief because I anticipated, okay, so if they're taking it out of every paycheck and I'm getting paid bi-weekly, then if they're taking it out of every paycheck, it's making decent like improvements on the balance of this loan. Little did I know that it was just paying off deferred interest. It was never affecting the principal at all whatsoever. So after like a year of them garnishing like $200 a paycheck to pay it to these student loans versus just me paying $200 a month. Now intuition started kicking in. So as a banker, I'm helping. So my credit got checked when I started working at the bank, and my credit came back at a 590, and I got the job. Don't ask me how, but I got the job. I got the job at the bank with a 590 credit because they send you a copy of the report.
You're right. Yeah,
and it tells you the score. Now, granted, I don't know if the position I got hired for kind of altered the fact that it was just like maybe it wasn't as important. I don't know if they overlooked it. I don't know what the situation was. But I'm not hiring somebody to work at a bank with a 590 credit score.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got it. But anyway, after about a year of them garnishing my wage, I just like randomly one day checked the balance. And the balance has not moved in like a year of garnishing away.
Oh, I would have. How you just died inside, like 1,000 deaths?
I got angry. I'm gonna tell you why I got angry. Money? Because I've been a banker for X amount of time now. I'm helping people with their credit. I'm getting them credit cards. I'm getting them loans. I'm getting them car loans. I'm getting them pre-qualified for mortgages. And I'm not following my own advice. My credit's sitting here flip-flopping between 550 and 590.
Wow, yeah.
Right? So and throughout that I bought a car. So I bought the 8.6 with a 590 credit score. Wow. I bought it with a 590 credit score. My interest was 14.9%. You remember? Like I remember telling you that conversation.
Yeah, I remember.
14.9% was the interest on my car loan. So I was paying like $600 a month for the car, plus like almost $300 a month in insurance. Because nobody tells you that your credit affects insurance too. Not just
no, that's fair because mine did too. My first car.
Yeah. So when when I checked it and I saw the balance didn't move, I was like, all right, like enough is enough. Like that was it. Like that was the last straw on the donkey's back. Like, and I didn't have a banker that I trusted. Right. So I became my own banker. So I called, and they said, yeah, your loans have been in default for who knows how much time.
Yeah.
Because it's a student loan, they have repayment programs. And they were like, if you can make 12 on-time payments, 8, 10, 12 on-time payments on a monthly basis, we will bring them out of default. They will become current. And you just have to go back to prepaying them. And I said, okay, you can set the amount at whatever you want for that period of time. It just
I've heard of people doing that.
It just has to come out automatically from your account. So I set for $150.
Okay.
Right? She said, you can make it any amount, right? And I was like, yeah. She said, even $5. You can literally make it any amount as long as it comes out on time and it doesn't bounce back. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Whatever it was, 8-10 months later, these payments are going out. The month that the last payment was made for the program, I checked my credit. My credit bounced from like 590 to like 662. Like over a 30-day span. And like at that point, like once I saw 6, like it was addicting. It was just like, wait a minute, like, and
that was easy.
Luckily, that was the only thing holding my credit down. I didn't have, like utility bills or medical bills. Right. Like I didn't have anything collections. Like everything that I had ever had was, other than my student loans, was on time. So boom, 662 happens. And then after that, it was just like once 662 came, like I started applying for things knowing I was going to get approvals because I didn't have anything negative. The minute I started getting credit cards approved and now my credit utilization, my DTI, like from there, it was like nobody sat me down and said, do this, and this. I was literally like I saw like a chink in the armor, like an opportunity, and I just took it.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. So I started applying for everything. And then once my credit hit like 720, I just started refinancing everything. Refinanced the student loans, took, mom's uncle or whatever it was off. Refinanced the car, got down to the 2.9%. And then, I started applying for the credit cards that I've always wanted. I think the best I ever saw my credit at 787 or 796, whatever that letter was when we applied for the car.
Yeah.
And I like put it on the fridge.
Yeah.
But my credit, it was never I had good credit and then I had bad credit and then I just rebuilt my credit. I started with my credit absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Because like I didn't know any better. So when people say like, oh, like I have this, and this in my credit, in my head, I'm just like, yo, just make the calls, make the payments, make the agreement.
Yeah.
Like they'll want to help you. Granted, don't be an idiot. But so yeah, I mean, so that's why like I relate when people say they had bad credit because I was there. I remember checking my credit and it was red. And I remember the needs work and like you thinking like, forget this, like why is this important? Only to forget that everything you do, apply for jobs, apply for a place to live, loans, insurance, credit cards, everything is affected by credit. So now here we are, right? And our mortgage just hit our credit, just hit my credit. I don't know if it's hit yours yet. And my credit only dropped 4 points. I don't know if it's gonna get
anywhere else once it like
recalibrated.
Recalibrated.
Because I remember last time, I think my credit might have dropped like 15, 20 points when the mortgage hit it. But now, like, I see anything below like 720, 750. And I'm just like, let's pay some things off. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, that's my credit story. And the misconception that fantastic credit means that, like, once you see like 720, 750, if you have decent income, you probably won't get turned down for a loan, any loan, right? But everybody's like, oh, I want my 800 credit, I want my 800 credit, I want my 800. The minute you get 800 credit and you use it, it's going to drop. So it's like, what do you really want 800 credit for? Anything above 720, 750, unless you're a perfectionist.
I remember the first time I had 800.
The hell happened to your drink?
It just evaporated. You were storytelling. That was good though. That was a nice progression. I remember when that letter came in the mail.
It's like 796.
Yeah, it was. That was good.
Whatever.
So mine. It's funny because my credit journey is actually pretty similar to yours in a sense of like I became my own banker, just bit the bullet and pulled it out, but mine started completely different than yours started. So I moved out when I was 18 and I got my first apartment and I had,
They didn't check your credit?
My apartment?
Yeah.
No, I knew the property management company.
Okay.
So I rented from them, but of course, like I had cable, I had gas, electric, all this things that go, responsibilities that come with an apartment. And I wasn't exactly sure how to manage it. And on top of that, at the time I was making like right above minimum wage. And I was working at the bank already, by the way. So when I moved out of my first apartment, like I struggled. Like my electric went off, my gas got cut off, my water got cut off. Like these were like all at like different times. Like
right.
Like I didn't have it to pay. Yeah. And even like I would go to lunch and I just didn't eat because I didn't have money to eat. Like I was working to actually put gas in the car and pay the rent. Like I really didn't have wiggle room. I wasn't going out. I wasn't eating out. I wasn't doing any of that. Right. And I really didn't understand like, oh, I could pay it next month and how that affects you. So I remember getting the gas bill and it came like the bill itself was red. Like the color on the background, it would,
red, give you like the orange or the yellow.
No, it was red. And then all of a sudden, the stove wasn't working. I think the heat got cut off, and then like
you're
I said,
in an apartment at this point. So like an apartment building?
No, it was a half double house.
Okay, and there was units?
Yeah, so it was actually 1 unit, 2 units. It was just 2 units.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so yeah,
This is like your whole
my side. That was just my side. Yeah, my side was cut. Homeboy on the other side, good. Yeah, he was good. I could hear his TV going, and I'm sitting here like just hanging out, right? So then, I struggled. I struggled quite a bit. Was already working in the bank. I became a banker, and like I got everything like pretty settled in a sense of like my living situation. I actually moved back with my mom for a little bit to get everything like situated because I honestly clearly didn't know how to manage how much I was getting paid versus how much I was sending out for like bills and things and prioritizing, or also knowing that you can call utility companies like, hey, I'm struggling at the moment.
Payment plan.
Yeah, make a payment plan. Had no clue at the time. I was 18, right? No one sat me down about that. The only thing my parents really did tell me when I was younger was don't have bad credit.
Whatever that means.
But no one told me how to have good credit.
Right, like whatever that means.
Like, yeah, exactly. Didn't teach me how to have good credit. So then I was just petrified of credit. So I worked at the bank, and one day I was just sitting there, and I realized I needed to reevaluate my credit because I was actually scared to talk to clients about credit. And my manager at the time,
as a banker,
I was like fresh a banker, right? I was a teller for a year, and then I became a banker.
Yeah, okay.
At the time, and my manager kept being like, "You have to talk about credit," and I'm like, "Yeah. Oh no, they just didn't want it." And then, mind you, my branch was like this big, like you could hear everything. So my manager just knew I wasn't saying anything about it. And then the one day it was like really slow in there, and I was like, let me just pull my credit. Pulled my credit. Didn't know how collections work. I had stuff in collections. I had my cable, I think gas, and there was one, or I remember exactly, there was 3 things on there. I think, want to say one was like phone. Or maybe it was the electric because I had a cell phone at the time. So it would have been like electric. And I had no clue. I was in the 5s with my credit, and I didn't know at that time. Like we're going like 15 years ago. No clue like what was the ranges for credit. That's how oblivious I was to credit.
Okay.
Right? Had no clue about the ranges. And I'm like, oh, I said to my manager, I have 5. She's like, yo, what? Granted, still didn't tell me anything about how to help me here.
Right.
And I laid the credit report out on my desk. And they had obviously the 3 companies that I was in collections with. And I just called them and I was like, hi, so I just checked my credit and I see it here. I'm like all nervous. I'm 18.
Sometimes
I'm like,
ignorance is such a powerful tool.
I was
because
you'll
have
so
a conversation that somebody who's overthinking won't have.
Yeah.
Just because you don't know anything.
I will say, again, because I don't think it's something you went through, but calling collections, like I remember calling the cable company. And when I called the cable company, like say it was like nothing crazy, like a couple $100, right? But it was still in the collections. And they were like, well, can you settle? We can do a settlement. And I'm like, what's a settlement? Like I'm thinking lawsuit. I'm like, oh my God, what's a settlement? And then they're like, oh, you pay X amount. And then within like 30, 60 days, it'll come off your credit.
Right.
And I was like, I don't got that. And then they're like, okay, do you have blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
And I was like, no. So I was having a conversation. And I'm like, look, I can give you like X amount now. And then next month, I can give you the rest. And so they ended up just settling actually for a lot less. I think it was a couple $100 I owed. And I think I had to pay like $80-something. So I was able to do that. And then I had it written down like next to the cable company. And I was like, paid this. I was like, do you have a confirmation number? And I was like, wrote it all down. I was like, okay, when does this come off my credit? So that's what kind of got me intrigued. Okay, so I did the right thing. Now it's going to come off credit religiously. 30 days later, I was checking, right? Okay. check. Okay. So I got all 3 finally paid. And I think it took like 60, maybe closer to 90 days for it to actually, all of it to fall off the credit. Then my credit went up.
Yeah.
And I was like, and mind you, I was still so scared of credit that I had an offer for a credit card, but I wasn't in college, right? I went straight to working right after high school. And I was so scared to get declined. I opted for a secured credit card. I was like, okay, I started this when I started saving some money, right? So the minimum for a secure credit card was $300. And I was like, I can do $300. They're like, are you sure we can just do the application and just see what I'm like, no. I was petrified of being declined. So did it, got my first credit card. It was secure credit. It got approved instantly for the $300. And I was still petrified to use it. So I knew the one thing I could afford was gas. So I strictly used my credit card for the first year just on my gas for the car.
You go, girl.
Yeah, I was, and when I say I was so concerned to I guess go bad on it, right? Going delinquent on it, that I would go to the gas pump, fill my tank, pull off, and transfer from my checking to the credit card. It didn't even hit.
You're bugging.
It didn't even hit. And just because I literally was so scared, I did it. I did it religiously for a year. Then after the year, when they graduated me up from secure, right? They gave me the 300 pack. I threw it right in my savings. Then it was, okay, I was able to afford gas for an entire year. I did gas and then groceries. Because obviously at that point, I was finally eating.
Right.
So I did gas and groceries. And then that's how I really dived into it. Credit. Because then I was like, and I didn't have the panic as much because I knew throughout the month I always got gas and I always got groceries. I got enough groceries. I never had an abundance of it. So I was able to pay it off. And I did pay like probably every 2 weeks just because I was too scared it was going to go crazy. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I did a store credit card. I did my first one was New York & Company. It closed since then because I didn't use it because the stores around here closed out years ago. So it was that. And then I got another credit card at the bank. And then I was using, then I like weaned off of using the first one because that one honestly didn't have any points or anything like that. Still doesn't have any points. I just have it because it's my oldest credit card.
Right. Yeah. Don't close that.
Yeah. And that's kind of really where I went with credit. The highest my credit that I actually remember seeing it, I believe it was like it was 804, I think it was.
Okay.
Or 810. And I was so hyped about that. And we celebrated by going and getting a Slurpee. So I was so excited. But like some people really don't celebrate things like that. But for me, because of how bad my credit was years ago,
the other side.
So and then actually improving and then realizing hey, I've had this credit card for some time. The limit was like $300. Yeah. And then they upgraded me and I think they gave me like $600 after that. Then I called and had them increase it, and I saw that helped my credit too.
Yeah.
So overall, it was really cool. So yeah, that was my credit journey, and I honestly still always watch it just to make sure everything looks how it's supposed to look, like everything that's on it should be on it.
Same.
And
3 times a week, maybe more.
Yeah, and I always just make sure that the balances are going lower, like for the mortgages or the car, because that always helps. It's our alarm.
It's our alarm. Look at you now, $1 million worth of debt. I feel. I just did that in there to see how you would react.
My heart did drop. It's good debt though, because there is good debt. We talked about that before.
That conversation again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that before.
I mean, I honestly. So that's one thing though. When we've met, neither one of us luckily had a spending problem.
Right.
I feel like we were very goal oriented, and
I used to just hoard money when we met though. We already
actually when we met, my credit was decent, but it wasn't fantastic. It was in the sixes when we met. I remember that conversation. I remember when I refinanced my car loan from the 14% to the 2.9%. Because you had such great credit when we met, I was just let me just that under the rug. And that's when I realized that
hit it from me.
If you chose to up and say, okay, well, what is your credit like? You lived on your own. What does your credit look like? You know what? Let me not blow this. So that's another reason why I decided I was just all right, let's get our stuff together. Let's get my stuff together. was because of that. So from there it was all downhill, and it does get addicting.
Yeah.
Once you see the 7 for the first time, it's just like, oh, now, like,
yeah.
And then you aim for the 8, but in reality, what you find yourself doing is once you're getting closer and closer to that 8, you find reasons to use your credit. So yeah, we're human, right? We had our fair share of bad credit experiences.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We actually, both of us started our credit journey with bad credit.
Terrible.
Yeah. Like it was like we were in the 5s, both of us.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's at different times and it was for different reasons. And then we both got ourselves out of it.
556. Lowest ever.
I'm not going to lie. I think mine was lower than that. I know I'm like probably roughly around that, to be honest.
Like it wasn't on Experian or Credit Karma. Like that was on the bank.
That was app. On the yeah. No, I pulled like the actual
like the report.
The credit report. That's what it was on.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I had it literally in like manila envelope, and that's how I had it. But yeah, it's always possible to do better. It just takes honestly biting the bullet, pulling it,
having the conversations.
If you don't look at it, it's not going to get better.
Right, the water doesn't get any warmer.
Yeah, literally
doesn't get any warmer. Yeah. So
next episode we'll talk about strategies as promised.
I'm gonna write that down because you'd be saying next episode we're gonna talk about this and then we don't talk about it. And we'll try to make it so Sunday. You can see a little bit,
20
seconds. Strategies, whatever the heck that means.
Oh, good stuff.
It's been fun. It's been real. Is there a game on tonight? Yeah, there is. It's Monday. And I'm hungry. And thirsty.
Look, I knew you were going to do that.
You take it too long.
What
you go over telling stories and whatnot about gas getting cut off.
Damn, not to make fun of me. That's wild.